Maya Johnson sat alone at her usual spot in the corner of the Lincoln High School courtyard. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the concrete as students gathered in small groups, laughing and talking about their weekend plans. Maya kept her eyes on the biology textbook in front of her. Though she had already read the chapter twice, she preferred it this way, quiet and unnoticed. For 3 months since transferring to this school, she had maintained this routine. Wake up, attend classes, eat lunch alone, study in the courtyard, go home. It was simple and it kept her out of trouble, but trouble had been finding her anyway. For the past 3 weeks, Brandon Cole and his friends had started paying attention to her. It began with small things. Comments about her hair as she walked past them in the hallway. Laughter when she answered questions correctly in class. Yesterday, Kevin had knocked her books out of her hands in the cafeteria. Each time, Maya had simply picked up her things and walked away. Her father had taught her that some battles were not worth fighting. Her sensei had taught her that a true warrior chooses when to engage. So she remained quiet and hoped they would lose interest. Today felt different, though. Maya could sense it in the way Brandon kept glancing at her from across the courtyard. He stood with Kevin and Stephanie near the main building, their voices carrying across the open space. More students than usual seemed to be hanging around, and several had their phones out. Maya closed her textbook and considered leaving early. But leaving would mean they had won. It would mean she was afraid. Maya Johnson was many things, but afraid was not one of them. Brandon started walking toward her. Kevin and Stephanie followed, and the crowd of students began to form a loose circle. Maya placed her textbook carefully in her backpack and stood up. She kept her breathing steady and her hands relaxed at her sides. Years of training had taught her to read body language, and everything about Brandon's approach screamed aggression. He wanted an audience for whatever he planned to do. Maya counted at least 15 students now watching, and more were approaching from the direction of the parking lot. Brandon stopped 3 feet in front of her. He was tall, probably 6 feet, and he used his height to try to intimidate her. Maya looked up at him with calm eyes and waited. Kevin moved to her left side and Stephanie to her right, cutting off easy escape routes. It was a classic intimidation formation, designed to make the target feel trapped and helpless. Maya had seen it before in tournaments when fighters tried to psyche out their opponents. It never worked on her then. It would not work now. "Hey, Maya," Brandon said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "We were just wondering something. Do you think you're too good to talk to anyone here? Is that why you sit alone all the time?" Maya said nothing. Words would not help this situation. She could see in his eyes that he had already decided what was going to happen. He needed to prove something to his friends, to establish dominance in front of the crowd. Maya was simply the target he had chosen. She shifted her weight slightly, balancing on the balls of her feet. The movement was so small that no one watching would notice, but it prepared her body for action. "I'm talking to you," Brandon said, his voice getting harder. It's rude to ignore people when they're trying to be friendly. Some students in the crowd laughed. Phones were definitely recording now. Maya could see at least 5 cameras pointed in her direction. Whatever happened here would be online within minutes. That thought should have made her nervous, but instead it brought a strange sense of calm. Let them record. Let them see. Brandon reached out and grabbed the collar of Maya's shirt. His grip was tight and he pulled her forward slightly, trying to make her stumble. The crowd grew louder, some cheering, others gasping. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The moment where the quiet girl would break down or run away or start crying. Maya felt the pressure on her neck, but her expression never changed. She looked into Brandon's eyes and saw confusion start to replace his confidence. She was not reacting the way he expected. "Let go," Maya said quietly. Her voice was steady and clear. Brandon pulled harder instead. "What are you going to do about it?" That was his mistake. Maya had given him a chance to walk away. She had asked once, politely, for him to release her. He had chosen to escalate. What happened next was not anger or revenge. It was simply a response to a physical threat, executed with the precision of someone who had trained for this exact scenario thousands of times. Maya's right hand came up and trapped Brandon's wrist against her collar. Her left hand gripped his elbow. In one smooth motion, she stepped back with her right foot, rotated her hips and applied pressure to the joint. The wrist lock was a basic technique, one of the first things beginners learned, but done correctly, it was completely effective. Brandon's hand released her collar immediately as pain shot through his arm. Before he could recover, Maya swept his front leg with her foot and guided him down to the ground using the leverage from the wrist lock. He landed hard on his back, the air rushing out of his lungs. The entire courtyard went silent. Kevin, who had started to move toward her, froze in place. Maya released Brandon's wrist and stepped back, giving him space to get up. Her breathing had not changed. Her heartbeat remained steady. She had used maybe 10% of her actual skill level. The whole exchange had lasted less than 5 seconds. Kevin made his decision then. He rushed at Maya from the side, probably thinking he could grab her before she reacted. Maya had been tracking his position the whole time. She waited until he committed to his charge, then pivoted and used his own momentum against him. Her hands found his arm and shoulder. She dropped her weight, turned, and executed a basic hip throw. Kevin flipped over her back and landed on the concrete next to Brandon. This technique had taken perhaps 3 seconds. Stephanie had already backed away, her hands up in surrender. Smart girl. Maya looked at Brandon and Kevin as they slowly got to their feet. Neither appeared seriously hurt, just shocked and embarrassed. That had been intentional. Maya could have done much more damage if she wanted, but hurting them was not the point. The point was simply to make them stop. "Leave me alone," Maya said to Brandon. Her voice was still quiet, but everyone in the courtyard heard her clearly. "Leave everyone alone. Find something better to do with your time." She picked up her backpack, slung it over one shoulder, and walked toward the parking lot. The crowd parted silently to let her through. Behind her, she could hear whispered conversations starting up, could feel dozens of eyes watching her back. Those phone recordings would spread fast. Her quiet life at Lincoln High was over. Maya had no idea that this moment, this simple act of self-defense, would change not just her life but the entire future of humanity. Maya walked through the front door of her small apartment and dropped her backpack on the floor. Her father would not be home for another 2 hours. He worked the evening shift at the hospital as a nurse, and Maya usually had the place to herself until 8. She went to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and sat down at the table. Her phone had been buzzing constantly since she left school. Messages from numbers she did not recognize. Friend requests on social media from people she had never met. All because of those videos. She pulled out her phone and finally looked. The main video had been posted 2 hours ago and already had 50,000 views. The title read, "Quiet Girl Destroys Bullies with Martial Arts," and the comments section was exploding. People were sharing it across every platform. Some comments praised her. Others tried to figure out what style of fighting she had used. A few identified the school. Maya closed the app and put her phone face down on the table. This was exactly what she had been trying to avoid. When Maya was 5 years old, her father had enrolled her in karate classes at Master Williams' dojo. It was a small place in a strip mall, nothing fancy, but Master Williams was the real deal. He had studied in Japan for 15 years before returning to America to teach. He did not advertise or chase students. If you found his dojo, it meant you were serious. Maya had taken to it immediately. While other children struggled with basic stances, Maya absorbed everything like a sponge. By age 7, she was training with students twice her age. By 10, she had earned her junior black belt. By 14, she held a second-degree black belt and was competing in national tournaments. That was when Master Williams made her an unusual offer. He would enter her in elite competitions under a different name. Not to be dishonest, but to protect her. The martial arts competition world could be intense and political. Young champions often faced pressure, jealousy, and unwanted attention that ruined their love for the art. If Maya competed anonymously, she could test her skills against the best fighters in the country without the burden of fame. She would know her true level, and that was what mattered. For 3 years, Maya had competed as Kim Chen, winning gold medals in kata and kumite at national championships that most people had never heard of. Only her father and Master Williams knew the truth. Now a simple school incident had exposed her. Not completely, not yet, but enough that people would start asking questions. Enough that someone might connect the quiet girl from Lincoln High to the mysterious Kim Chen who had defeated the best junior fighters in America. Maya finished her water and stood up. She needed to train. Training always cleared her mind. She changed into workout clothes and went to the small second bedroom that served as her training space. Her father had helped her set it up 3 years ago when they moved to this apartment. Mats covered the floor. A heavy bag hung in one corner. A full-length mirror covered one wall so she could check her form. Maya began with basics. Front stance, downward block, punch. She moved through the fundamental techniques that formed the foundation of everything else. After 20 minutes, she moved into kata, the formal patterns that were like meditation in motion. Her body flowed from position to position with perfect precision. Each hand was exactly where it needed to be. Each stance was rock solid. She was halfway through her third kata when her phone rang. Maya stopped and checked the screen. Master Williams. She answered immediately. You saw the video, Maya said. It was not a question. The whole world saw the video, Master Williams replied. His voice was calm as always. You handled it well. Minimum force, maximum control. I am proud of you. But now everyone knows, Maya said. They know you can defend yourself, Master Williams corrected. That is not the same as knowing everything. Come to the dojo tomorrow after school. We need to talk about something important. What is it? Tomorrow, Master Williams said. This conversation needs to happen in person. He hung up before Maya could ask more questions. She stared at her phone, confused. Master Williams never acted mysterious. He was always direct and clear. Whatever he needed to discuss must be serious. Maya put her phone down and returned to training, but her concentration was broken. She went through the motions, but her mind kept wandering to that phone call. The next day at school was strange. Students she had never spoken to suddenly wanted to be her friend. Some asked if she could teach them martial arts. Others wanted to know where she trained and how long she had been studying. A few asked if she was scared that Brandon might retaliate. Maya answered politely but briefly and avoided any extended conversations. Brandon and his friends stayed far away from her. She saw them once in the hallway and they immediately turned and walked in the opposite direction. Good. Maybe they had actually learned something. The day dragged on forever. Finally, the last bell rang and Maya headed straight for the dojo. It was a 20-minute bus ride to the strip mall where Master Williams taught. The dojo looked the same as always from the outside. Faded signs, small windows, nothing fancy. Maya pushed through the door and stopped. Master Williams was not alone. A woman sat in one of the chairs near his office. She wore a sharp black suit and had the posture of someone who had military training. She stood up when Maya entered. Maya Johnson, the woman said, extending her hand. My name is Lisa Rodriguez. I am a commander with the United Earth Defense Initiative. Maya shook her hand automatically, her mind racing. United Earth Defense what? Initiative, Commander Rodriguez repeated. Please sit down. What I am about to tell you will sound impossible, but I promise you it is the truth. Maya sat down slowly. Master Williams nodded at her encouragingly. Whatever this was, he already knew about it. Commander Rodriguez pulled out a tablet and tapped the screen. A holographic image appeared in the air above it, showing what looked like a massive space station orbiting an unfamiliar planet. 3 years ago, Rodriguez began, Earth was contacted by an organization called the Galactic Assembly. It is a coalition of intelligent species from across the galaxy. They have been watching our planet for decades, waiting to see if we would develop space travel and prove ourselves worthy of contact. 3 years ago, we finally did. Since then, a small group of world leaders and military personnel have been in communication with the Assembly, preparing for humanity's eventual introduction to the larger galactic community. Maya looked at Master Williams. Is this real? It is real, he confirmed. Rodriguez continued. The Assembly operates on certain principles. New species must prove themselves worthy of membership through what they call the trials. It is a competition, testing physical ability, mental discipline, strategic thinking, and the capacity for growth. Each species sends their best representatives. If those representatives perform well, the species is granted full membership with access to galactic technology, trade routes, and protection. If they fail, the species remains isolated and under observation for another century. What does this have to do with me? Maya asked. Earth has been invited to send representatives to the next trial, Rodriguez said. It begins in 7 months. We have been quietly searching the planet for individuals who combine exceptional physical skill with mental discipline. Athletes, soldiers, martial artists. People who can represent humanity at our absolute best. I have been tracking your competition record for 2 years, Maya. Under your real name and under the name Kim Chen. You are one of the most skilled young martial artists in the country. Yesterday's video only confirmed what I already knew. You have exactly what we need. Maya felt like the world had tilted sideways. Aliens, space stations, galactic trials. It sounded like bad science fiction. But Commander Rodriguez did not look like she was joking. Master Williams did not look like he thought this was crazy. They both looked completely serious. "You want me to fight aliens?" Maya asked slowly. "We want you to represent humanity," Rodriguez said, "to show the galaxy what we are capable of. To prove that despite being newcomers, despite our violent history and our flaws, we have individuals worth respecting. The question is, are you willing?" Maya sat across from her father at their kitchen table. The conversation with Commander Rodriguez had been 2 days ago, and she still had not told him about it. Rodriguez had given her a week to decide, saying this was not something to rush into. Maya had the business card in her pocket right now, the edges worn from how many times she had taken it out to look at it. Her father finished his coffee and looked at her with concerned eyes. "You have been quiet lately," he said. "More quiet than usual. Is everything okay at school?" Maya took a deep breath. "Dad, if you had a chance to do something amazing, something that might be dangerous but also really important, would you do it?" Her father set down his coffee cup. "That depends. How dangerous and how important?" So Maya told him everything. About Commander Rodriguez, about the Galactic Assembly, about the trials and what they meant for humanity. She watched his face carefully as she spoke, trying to gauge his reaction. He listened without interrupting, his expression moving from disbelief to concern, to something that looked like cautious hope. "They want you to fight aliens in space," he said when she finished. "Yes," Maya confirmed. "And if you say no, they will just find someone else?" Yes, her father was quiet for a long time. He got up and walked to the window, looking out at the street below. "Your mother would have loved this," he finally said. "She always believed you were destined for something extraordinary. I thought she just meant you would be a great martial artist or maybe an Olympic athlete. I never imagined anything like this." Maya's mother had died when she was 4. She barely remembered her, just fragments of warmth and laughter. "What do you think I should do?" Her father turned back to face her. "I think you already know what you want to do. You are asking for my permission, not my advice. So yes, Maya, you have my permission. Go show the galaxy what humanity can be." 3 days later, Maya stepped off a military transport plane onto a runway in the middle of the Nevada desert. The heat hit her immediately, dry and intense. A jeep was waiting to take her to the facility, which was another 20 minutes of driving through empty landscape. Finally, they reached a gate with serious security, then descended into an underground complex that looked like something from a spy movie. Commander Rodriguez met her at the entrance. "Welcome to Site 7, Rodriguez said. "This is where we train Earth's representatives. Come on, I will show you around." The facility was massive. Training rooms, classrooms, medical wings, living quarters, all built into the underground structure. Rodriguez explained that 51 people had been selected for the program. They would train together for 6 months. Then the best 25 would be chosen to actually attend the trials. Maya felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. She had competed in tournaments before, but this was different. This was training to represent her entire species. Rodriguez led her to the dormitory section and stopped at a door. "This is your room. You will have a roommate. Her name is Sophie Martinez. She is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion from California. Try to get some rest today. Training starts at 6 tomorrow morning." Maya pushed open the door. The room was small but functional. 2 beds, 2 desks, a shared bathroom. A girl sat on one of the beds looking at her phone. She had dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and the compact, muscular build of a grappler. She looked up when Maya entered and smiled. "You must be Maya," she said, standing up and offering her hand. "I am Sophie. I saw your video. That was some nice takedown work." "Thanks," Maya said, shaking her hand. "Your grip is strong," Sophie laughed. "Jiu-jitsu. We are all about grips." "So you do karate?" "Since I was 5, Maya confirmed. "Good," Sophie said. "We can learn from each other. The way I see it, we are all on the same team here. Humanity. Everything else is just details." Over the next few days, Maya met the other trainees. There was Danny Foster, a former Army Ranger who had completed 3 tours overseas. Christina Hayes, who had been a competitive gymnast before switching to parkour. Jake Bennett, a boxer with quick hands and a quicker mind. Lu Wei, a Tai Chi master who moved like water. 51 people from all over the world, each one exceptional in their own way. The diversity was intentional, Rodriguez explained. The trials would test many different skills. Having specialists in different fighting styles and disciplines gave humanity the best chance. The training began immediately, and it was unlike anything Maya had experienced. The first week focused on movement in variable gravity. They trained in special rooms where the gravity could be adjusted from half Earth normal to twice normal. Maya discovered that her kata practice gave her an advantage here. She was used to maintaining perfect balance and control in her movements. When gravity changed, she adapted faster than most others. Danny struggled at first, his military training having been entirely in Earth gravity. Christina excelled, her gymnast background giving her natural spatial awareness. The second week introduced combat simulations against holographic opponents. These were not human shapes. Some had 4 arms, others moved on 6 legs. One simulation featured a creature that could briefly become invisible. The point was to prepare them for fighting beings that did not move like humans, did not think like humans. Maya's instructors were impressed by how quickly she adapted. In karate, she had learned to read body language, to anticipate attacks based on weight shifts and muscle tension. Against the holograms, she learned to read different kinds of body language, different patterns of movement. Most fighters freeze when facing an unfamiliar opponent, her combat instructor said after one session. They wait to see what the opponent will do, then react. You do the opposite. You probe, you test, you establish patterns. That is the mindset of a true martial artist. Sophie became Maya's closest friend in the facility. They trained together, ate together, and spent their free time comparing techniques. Sophie showed Maya the intricacies of ground fighting and joint locks. Maya taught Sophie about striking combinations and distance management. Danny and Christina often joined them, and the 4 became an unofficial team within the larger group. You know what I realized, Christina said one night as they sat in the cafeteria. Every person here has spent their whole life training for something specific. Combat, gymnastics, whatever, but none of us trained to represent humanity. That is what makes this so weird. We are not just competing for ourselves anymore. The pressure is different, Danny agreed. In the military, if I messed up, I might get myself or my squad killed. That was bad enough. But this, if we mess up here, it affects everyone back on Earth. 7 billion people counting on us. Maya understood what he meant. She felt that weight every day during training. It was not just about proving her own skill anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humans deserved respect, that they were worth accepting into the larger community. Some nights that weight made it hard to sleep, but the training continued. Month 2 introduced them to alien technology. They learned to use weapons that fired energy instead of bullets. They practiced in armor that responded to their thoughts. They studied alien languages, or at least the basic ones that most species in the assembly used for communication. Maya discovered she had a talent for languages, picking up the basics of galactic standard faster than most others. Month 3 was survival training in simulated alien environments. They spent a week in a desert simulation, where the temperature reached 150 degrees during the day and dropped below freezing at night. They spent another week in a simulation of a water world, learning to fight while swimming and holding their breath for extended periods. Maya struggled with the water world. Sophie, who had grown up swimming in California, helped her through it. Just relax, Sophie said. The water is not your enemy. It is just a different environment. Adjust your technique and you will be fine. By month 4, the group had bonded into something like a family. They had trained together, suffered together, learned together. When Rodriguez announced that she would soon select the final 25 who would actually attend the trials, there was tension, but also understanding. Everyone had given their best. Whoever was chosen deserved to be chosen. Maya trained harder than ever in those final weeks, pushing herself to perfect every technique, to eliminate every weakness. Her instructors kept telling her she was a lock for the final team, but Maya did not believe in locks. She believed in preparation. The day of selection finally came. Rodriguez gathered all 51 trainees in the main assembly hall. She had a list in her hand, and Maya's heart pounded as she waited to hear her name. Rodriguez called out 25 names one at a time. Sophie's name was called 4th. Danny's was called 9th. Christina's was called 15th. Maya's was called 21st. The 4 friends looked at each other and smiled. They had made it. They were going to represent Earth at the Galactic Assembly Trials. The transport ship Endeavour looked nothing like the rockets Maya had seen in history books. It was sleek and silver, shaped like a massive teardrop. sitting on a launch pad that had been built specifically for galactic vessels. Maya stood with the other 24 selected humans at the base of the boarding ramp, looking up at the ship that would carry them to the stars. Commander Rodriguez stood before them giving final instructions. "The journey will take 3 weeks," Rodriguez said. "The Endeavor uses a slip drive, which means you will not feel the acceleration. Inside, there is full gravity and life support. The ship is staffed by a mixed crew, humans and several alien species who have volunteered to help with this mission. Use this time to rest, to train, and to learn as much as you can from them. When you arrive at the assembly station, everything changes. Questions?" No one had questions. They had been briefed dozens of times over the past month. Maya adjusted the bag on her shoulder, everything she was allowed to bring packed into one small container. Her father had come to see her off yesterday, their goodbye both painful and proud. Master Williams had given her a final lesson, not in technique but in philosophy. "Remember who you are," he had said. "Remember why you started this path. The rest will follow." The boarding process was quick and efficient. Maya walked up the ramp and into the ship, immediately feeling a subtle hum of energy through the floor. The interior was clean and modern, with walls that glowed with soft light. A human crew member directed them to their quarters. Maya shared a small cabin with Sophie, just like back at the facility. They put away their bags and made their way to the common area where the rest of the team was gathering. "Attention all passengers," a voice said over the ship's communication system. "This is Captain Morrison. We launch in 5 minutes. Please secure yourselves in the common area. First-time space travelers may experience brief disorientation during the slip drive activation." Maya sat down and strapped herself into one of the seats. Her heart was racing. She had flown on planes before, but this was different. This was leaving Earth entirely, heading into deep space to a place no human except the diplomatic corps had ever seen. Through a window, she could see technicians moving away from the launch pad. A countdown appeared on screens around the room. 10 seconds. 9. 8. At 0, Maya felt a strange sensation, like the world had shifted slightly to the left. Her vision blurred for just a moment, and then everything was normal again. No roar of engines, no shaking or acceleration, just that one moment of disorientation and then nothing. She looked out the window and gasped. Earth was already small in the distance, a blue and white marble against black space. They were traveling faster than her mind could comprehend, and yet inside the ship everything felt completely still. "Slip drive," Danny said from the seat next to her. "We are moving through something called subspace. The physics are way over my head, but basically we are taking a shortcut through reality." Over the next few days, Maya and the others explored the ship and met the crew. Captain Morrison was a former Navy officer who had been recruited into the space program 2 years ago. The first officer was an alien named Karun, from a species called the Zentari. He stood 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin and eyes that seemed to see right through you. When Maya first met him in the training room, she had been nervous. He was the first real alien she had encountered face to face. "You are the martial artist," Karun said, his voice deep and resonant. "Commander Rodriguez spoke highly of your skills." "I try my best," Maya said carefully. "The Zentari also practice martial disciplines," Karun continued. "We believe that control of the body leads to control of the mind. Perhaps we could exchange techniques?" That became Maya's routine for the first week of the journey. Every morning she would train with Karun in the ship's gym. He showed her Zentari combat forms which emphasized flowing movements and redirecting energy. She showed him karate kata and explained the philosophy behind each technique. Karun was a patient and thoughtful training partner, and Maya learned that despite his intimidating appearance, he had a gentle soul. "Many species in the assembly will underestimate humans," Karun told her one day. "They see you as young and primitive. But I have watched you train. You have discipline that rivals species who have studied combat for thousands of years. That will surprise them." Maya also befriended another alien crew member named Wavesinger. She was from the Nerean species, an aquatic people who looked almost human except for the subtle gills on their necks and the way their skin seemed to shimmer with iridescent colors. Wavesinger was the ship's navigator and had a bright, curious personality that reminded Maya of Christina. "I have always been fascinated by humans," Wavesinger said as she showed Maya how the navigation systems worked. "Your species achieved space travel so quickly. Most species take thousands of years to develop the technology. Humans did it in less than a century from your first powered flight. That adaptability is rare, Is that a good thing? Maya asked. It depends on who you ask, Wavesinger admitted. Some species admire it. Others fear it. Humans change fast, evolve fast, adapt fast. That makes you unpredictable. The trials will help the assembly decide if that unpredictability is an asset or a threat. The second week of the journey was when the reality of their mission really hit. Maya. Commander Rodriguez gathered the team and showed them footage of past trials. They watched alien warriors fighting in massive arenas. Some matches were one-on-one combat. Others were team battles. Still others were complex challenges that combined physical ability with problem-solving. The skill level was incredible. These were not just good fighters. These were the absolute best that dozens of advanced civilizations had to offer. Do not let this discourage you, Rodriguez said as the footage ended. Yes, you are facing experienced competitors, but you have something they do not expect. You have human determination, human creativity, and human refusal to give up. Use that. Maya took the words to heart and trained even harder. The ship had a full gym with equipment designed for multiple species. Maya practiced against holographic opponents based on footage from past trials. She studied the fighting styles of different species, looking for patterns and weaknesses. Sophie, Danny, and Christina joined her, and they began developing team strategies for the group events. Look at this, Christina said one day, showing them footage of a past trial match. This Crothian fighter is incredibly strong, but he telegraphs every attack. See how his shoulders tense before he strikes? If we can read that tell, we can counter. They spent hours analyzing footage, breaking down techniques, planning strategies. Karun sometimes joined them, offering insights into species they were unfamiliar with. He explained cultural contexts that helped them understand why certain species fought the way they did. The Draken, for example, valued honor above victory. If you showed proper respect and courage, even in defeat, they would respect you back. The Silix valued speed and deception, treating combat like a game of chess. The third week of the journey, Maya began to feel the weight of what was coming. In just a few days, they would arrive at the assembly station. Everything she had trained for, everything she had worked toward since Commander Rodriguez first approached her, would be put to the test. Some nights she could not sleep. She would lie in her bunk and stare at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways she might fail. What if she froze in combat? What if she was not good enough? What if she let down not just her team, but everyone on Earth? Sophie noticed her struggling and talked to her one evening. You are overthinking it, Sophie said. I know because I am doing the same thing. But here is what I realized. We already won just by being here. We were chosen out of billions of people to represent humanity. That means something. Whatever happens in the trials, we gave it our best. That is all anyone can ask. But what if our best is not good enough? Maya asked. Then it is not good enough, Sophie said simply. But at least we will know. At least we will have tried. That is better than wondering what might have been. On the final day of the journey, Captain Morrison announced that they would arrive at the assembly station in 4 hours. Maya went to the observation deck and watched as the station came into view. It was enormous, a city in space with multiple rings rotating slowly around a central hub. Light sparkled across its surface like stars. Dozens of ships of various designs were docked at different ports. Maya could see other vessels arriving, presumably carrying other species representatives for the trials. Corin joined her at the window. Impressive, is it not? The station is over 5,000 years old. It has hosted the trials for more than 3,000 cycles. Every species that has earned membership in the assembly has stood where you are about to stand. Does it get easier? Maya asked. Being the new species, being the one everyone watches? No, Corin said honestly. But it does get more manageable. The Zentari went through the trials 200 years ago. We were terrified. But we proved ourselves, and now we are respected members. Humans will do the same. I have trained with you, Maya. I have seen your spirit. You will not fail. The Endeavor docked at one of the station's ports with a gentle thud. Maya gathered with the rest of the team at the airlock. The assembly station was more overwhelming than Maya had imagined. The human delegation was assigned quarters in a section designated for trial participants, and the walk there took them through bustling corridors filled with dozens of alien species. Maya tried not to stare, but it was impossible not to look. She saw beings that floated instead of walked, creatures with scales, fur, skin that glowed with bioluminescence. Some were roughly human-sized. Others towered over everyone or scuttled along on multiple legs. Each species wore different clothing or armor, marking their cultures and homeworlds. The human quarters were modest but comfortable. Maya shared a room with Sophie again, and they spent the first evening organizing their gear and reviewing the trial schedule that had been provided. The competition would span 2 weeks and consist of multiple events: individual combat, team battles, strategic challenges, and survival scenarios. Each species had brought between 20 and 30 representatives. In total, over 400 competitors would participate. "Look at this," Sophie said, showing Maya her tablet. "There are 32 species competing this cycle. Some of them have been part of the assembly for centuries. They know exactly what to expect. We are going in blind." "Not completely blind," Maya countered. "We have the footage Rodriguez showed us. We have what Corin and Wavesinger taught us. And we have each other." The opening ceremony took place the next day in the main arena. Maya walked onto the floor with her team. All 25 humans dressed in matching uniforms of dark blue with the Earth symbol on the shoulder. The arena was massive, easily large enough to hold 50,000 spectators, and it was completely full. The crowd represented hundreds of species, all here to watch the trials. Giant screens floated in the air, showing different angles of the arena floor. A being that looked like a living pillar of crystal stepped to the center of the arena. Its voice boomed out, somehow translated into every language simultaneously. "Welcome to the 3042nd cycle of the trials. We gather here to witness the testing of those who would join the assembly. To the new species among us, the humans of Earth, we offer both welcome and challenge. Prove yourselves worthy, and you will find your place among the stars. Fail, and you will return home to grow and try again in the future." The crowd erupted in noise, some cheering, some making sounds Maya could not identify, the crystal being raised an appendage for silence. "The first event begins tomorrow. All competitors will face individual combat trials. You will fight opponents from other species in matches designed to test skill, adaptability, and honor. Prepare yourselves." That night, Maya barely slept. She lay in her bunk going over everything she had learned, every technique she had practiced. Tomorrow she would face her first real test. The holographic simulations back on Earth had been preparation, but this was real. She would be fighting actual alien warriors who had trained their entire lives for this moment. The first day of individual combat trials arrived. Maya was scheduled for the afternoon session. She spent the morning watching other matches, studying how different species fought. She saw a Crothian warrior, massive and armored, overpower his opponent through sheer strength. She saw a Silex fighter, small and lightning fast, win through speed and deception. She saw a Zentari warrior fight with the flowing, controlled movements that Corin had shown her. Each victory was met with cheers from that species section of the crowd. When Maya's name was called, she walked to the combat platform with steady steps. Her opponent was already waiting, a warrior from a species called the Croth. He stood nearly 7 feet tall with thick armored skin and 4 arms. The crowd grew louder, many clearly expecting the small human to be crushed quickly. Maya bowed respectfully to her opponent. He looked confused for a moment, then returned the gesture awkwardly. The match began. The Crothian charged immediately, using his size and power to try to end the fight fast. Maya had expected this. Size and strength were his advantages, so he would rely on them. She waited until the last moment, then stepped aside and let his momentum carry him past her. She struck quickly at the back of his knee joint, not hard enough to injure, but enough to disrupt his balance. He stumbled but recovered quickly, turning to face her again. This time he was more cautious, advancing slowly with all 4 arms ready to grab or strike. Maya circled, keeping her distance, studying his movements. She noticed that he tensed his upper arms before he struck with his lower arms. It was a small tell, but enough. When he lunged again, she was ready. She ducked under his upper arms, deflected his lower arms with precise blocks, and drove a powerful kick into his midsection. The armor absorbed most of the impact, but the force was enough to drive him back. The match continued for 3 minutes, which felt like an eternity. The Crothian was strong and tough, but Maya was faster and more technical. Every time he tried to use his power advantage, she redirected it or avoided it. Every time he left an opening, she exploited it. Finally, she saw her chance. He overextended with a grabbing attempt, committing too much weight forward. Maya trapped 2 of his arms, stepped in close, and executed a perfect sacrifice throw. Using his own momentum and weight, she flipped him onto his back. The impact shook the platform. The referee, a floating being of pure energy, declared Maya the winner. The crowd reaction was mixed. Some sections cheered. Others were silent, clearly shocked that the human had won. Maya helped her opponent to his feet and bowed again. He looked at her with what might have been respect in his alien eyes, and returned the bow more formally this time. Maya won her next 2 matches as well. The second was against a Nerean fighter who was incredibly fluid and adaptable, but lacked power in her strikes. Maya controlled the distance and landed cleaner hits to win on points. The third match was against a species she had never seen before, a being that could briefly phase through solid matter. That one was terrifying until Maya realized the phasing had a cooldown period. She timed her attacks for the moments when her opponent was solid and won through patient, disciplined fighting. By the end of the first day, Maya had advanced to the second round of individual combat. So had Danny, Sophie, and Christina, along with 6 other members of the human team. 10 out of 25 had made it through day 1. Commander Rodriguez was pleased but cautioned against overconfidence. The competition would only get harder from here. The team battles began on day 3. Each species formed squads of 5 fighters, who would face other squads in various challenge scenarios. Maya's squad consisted of herself, Sophie, Danny, Christina, and Jake Bennett, the boxer. They worked well together, their months of training at Site 7 having built strong teamwork and communication. Their first team challenge was a combat scenario in a simulated urban environment. They faced a Silex squad known for their speed and ambush tactics. The match started poorly, with the Silex team using their superior knowledge of the terrain to separate Maya's squad and pick them off one by one. Jake was eliminated first, caught in a 2-on-1 situation. Christina went next, taken out by a surprise attack from above. Maya called for a regroup. She, Sophie, and Danny formed a tight defensive triangle, protecting each other's backs. The Silex tried to use their speed to break the formation, but Maya had learned from watching their earlier matches. She predicted their attack patterns and called out warnings to her teammates. When a Silex fighter tried to blitz past Danny, Maya was ready with a perfectly timed intercept. Sophie caught another with a takedown. Danny held the center, his military training showing in his positioning and awareness. Slowly, methodically, they turned the match around. The Silex speed was impressive, but it meant nothing when their attacks were anticipated and countered. Maya's squad won the match with 3 members still standing. The crowd was louder this time, more appreciative. The humans were proving to be more than lucky beginners. They were legitimate competitors. Over the next week, Maya competed in numerous events. A survival challenge in a simulated ice world, where she had to find shelter and resources while avoiding predatory creatures. A strategic puzzle that required both physical ability and problem-solving to complete. Another individual combat match against a warrior who used energy weapons, forcing Maya to adapt her traditional martial arts to deal with ranged attacks. She won some matches. She lost others. But every time she stepped into competition, she gave everything she had. The individual combat tournament reached its final rounds on day 9. Maya had made it to the quarterfinals, further than any human had been expected to go. Her opponent was a Draken warrior named Vexthor. He was the defending champion from the previous trial cycle and had not lost a single match in 3 years of competition. The crowd was packed for this match, everyone wanting to see if the human could possibly compete against such a legend. Vexthor stood 7 feet tall with deep red scales that covered his body like natural armor. His eyes were golden and sharp, missing nothing. When Maya stepped onto the platform to face him, she felt the weight of every human watching, both here at the station and back home on Earth where the matches were being broadcast. Master Williams had taught her long ago that pressure was just another challenge to overcome. She pushed the fear aside and focused. Maya sat in the medical center after her match with Vexthor. A Nerean medic examined her ribs using a device that scanned for internal damage. The medic hummed thoughtfully, her skin flickering through different colors as she worked. 2 cracked ribs, she announced. Nothing serious by combat standards. I can heal them completely, but you will need to rest for 12 hours. I have a team event tomorrow, Maya protested. Then you will compete with cracked ribs, the medic said simply. Or you can rest and compete fully healed the next day. Your choice. Maya chose to rest. She hated missing the team event, but Sophie convinced her it was the right decision. We can handle 1 match without you, Sophie said. But we need you at full strength for the finals. Think long term. The team event went forward without Maya, and the human squad lost. It was not a blowout, but they lacked the coordination that Maya's leadership provided. Danny did his best to call strategies, but he admitted afterward that he was not as good at reading opponents on the fly. Christina took the loss hard, blaming herself for several mistakes. Maya spent the evening talking with her, reminding her that losses were part of competition and the important thing was learning from them. While Maya recovered, something unexpected began happening around the station. Aliens from other species started approaching the human quarters, asking to meet her. The first was a young Zentari warrior who had watched her match against Vexthor. "You fought with honor," he said through a translation device. "Many expected you to surrender when he landed that body shot. Instead, you rose and adapted your strategy. That showed true warrior spirit." Then came a delegation of Nurian fighters who wanted to discuss technique. They were fascinated by Maya's use of leverage and momentum, concepts that worked differently in water but translated to land-based combat in interesting ways. Maya spent an afternoon demonstrating karate principles, while they showed her Nurian flowing defense methods. The cultural exchange was exciting and educational for both groups. Even some Crothians approached her, including the warrior she had defeated on the first day. "We Crothians respect strength," he said through his translator, "but we are learning to respect skill as well. You showed us that power alone is not enough. That is a valuable lesson." Corin visited Maya in the quarters and smiled his strange Zentari smile. "I told you that you would surprise them. The galaxy is watching now. Humans are no longer dismissed as primitives. You have earned consideration." "But we have not won anything yet," Maya pointed out. "Winning is not everything," Corin replied. "Respect must be earned through conduct, not just victory. How you fight matters as much as whether you win." Several species have already approached the Assembly Council suggesting that Earth should be granted provisional membership, even if humans do not win the trials. That is unprecedented. The trials continued through the second week. Maya returned to competition fully healed and performed well in several more events. She reached the semifinals in another individual combat tournament, this time losing to a Silex master who was simply faster than anything Maya had trained against. She helped her team win a complex strategic challenge that involved navigating a maze filled with traps, while carrying an object that could not be dropped or damaged. She placed third in a survival event that tested ability to function with minimal resources in a hostile desert environment. But the event everyone was talking about was the grand melee scheduled for the final day. It was the traditional conclusion of every trial cycle. All remaining competitors from all species would enter a massive arena simultaneously. The last 10 fighters standing would be declared champions and would earn special honor for their species. It was chaos, it was brutal, and it was the ultimate test of a warrior's ability to adapt and survive. The night before the grand melee, Commander Rodriguez gathered the human team. 18 of the original 25 were still in competition, an impressive showing. Rodriguez looked at each of them seriously. "Tomorrow is what everything has been building toward. I am not going to give you a big speech about winning. You have already exceeded every expectation. Whatever happens tomorrow, you have made humanity proud. But I will say this, trust each other out there. You trained together. You know each other's strengths. Use that advantage." Maya spent the evening in quiet meditation, a practice Master Williams had taught her years ago. She cleared her mind of doubt and fear, focusing instead on readiness and acceptance. Whatever came tomorrow, she would face it with everything she had learned, everything she had become. Sophie found her on the observation deck an hour before sleep cycle, looking out at the stars. "Nervous?" Sophie asked. "Terrified," Maya admitted, "but also excited. This is what we came for. 18 humans against 400 aliens," Sophie mused. "The odds are terrible." "The odds were terrible when we first arrived and people said we would not make it past day 1, Maya countered. "We are still here." The grand melee began at noon station time. Maya walked into the arena with the other human competitors, looking around at the massive space. It was set up like a cityscape with buildings and obstacles in multiple levels, perfect for ambushes and tactical movement. The 400-plus competitors spread out across the space, each species clustering with their own at first. Maya found herself back-to-back with Danny, while Sophie and Christina positioned themselves nearby. Jake and the other humans formed a loose defensive perimeter. A horn sounded and the melee began. Immediately, the arena erupted into combat. Alliances formed and broke within seconds. The Crothians charged aggressively, trying to use their strength to eliminate multiple opponents quickly. The Silex scattered and used hit-and-run tactics. The Zentari fought with discipline and coordination. The Draken warriors, led by Vexthor, held a central position and fought anyone who approached. The human strategy was survival and patience. They had discussed this last night. In a massive free-for-all, the aggressive fighters would eliminate each other first. Better to stay defensive, conserve energy, and let others tire themselves out. Maya's squad moved carefully through the arena, avoiding major combat but not running from it either. When a Crothian warrior tried to ambush them, Danny intercepted while Maya swept his legs. When 3 Silex fighters attempted to overwhelm their position, Sophie and Christina worked together to neutralize 2, while Maya handled the third. As the melee progressed, the numbers dropped steadily. 400 became 300. 300 became 200. The arena floor was littered with defeated competitors, marked by glowing armbands that identified them as eliminated. The combat grew more intense as the stronger fighters remained. Maya saw Vexthor battling 3 opponents at once and winning. She saw a Zentari warrior moving with such grace that attacks seemed to miss her by inches. She saw a species she did not recognize, small and quick, darting through the chaos and eliminating competitors with precise strikes. An hour into the melee, only 80 fighters remained. Maya's team had lost 6 members, but 12 humans were still in competition. An astonishing number given the odds. They had spread out now, no longer fighting as a single unit but staying aware of each other's positions. Maya found herself on an upper level of one of the arena structures, looking down at the combat below. She spotted Sophie 3 buildings away, working together with a Nerean fighter against a pair of Crothians. She saw Danny holding a choke point against multiple attackers. Then she felt movement behind her. Maya spun, barely dodging a strike that would have eliminated her. Her attacker was fast, one of the small, quick species she had noticed earlier. They exchanged a flurry of techniques, trading attacks and defenses at incredible speed. Maya recognized the style as similar to Wing Chun, focusing on close-range combat and rapid strikes. She adapted, using her karate training to create distance and land longer-range attacks. After 30 seconds of intense fighting, she caught her opponent with a well-timed roundhouse kick that sent them over the edge of the platform. Eliminated. 60 fighters. Then 50. The arena had become a battlefield of the absolute best. Maya was tired, her muscles burning, but her mind remained sharp. She worked her way down from the upper levels, looking for advantageous positions. She found Christina pinned down by 2 Draken warriors and moved to help. Together, they managed to eliminate one and drive the other off. Christina grinned, breathing hard. "Thanks for the save. Stay close," Maya said. "We are almost there. 40 fighters. 30. The pace was exhausting, but Maya pushed through it. She had trained for this, prepared her body and mind for exactly this kind of extended combat. She saw Danny get eliminated by Vexthor, putting up a good fight but ultimately outmatched. She saw Sophie take down a Zentari warrior, with a beautiful submission hold before being eliminated herself by 3 opponents working together. The humans were falling one by one, but they were lasting longer than anyone expected. 20 fighters remaining. The horn sounded, indicating that the next eliminations would determine the final 10. Maya looked around and counted. She was still in. Christina was still in. 2 other humans remained. That meant 4 humans in the final 20, competing for 10 championship spots. It was remarkable. But the hardest part was still ahead. Vexthor fought the 3 Crothians with a skill that bordered on art. He moved between them like a dancer, blocking one attack while countering another, always maintaining perfect positioning so they could not surround him completely. One by one, he eliminated them, each defeat clean and decisive. When the 3rd Crothian fell, only 10 fighters remained standing. The horn sounded and the grand melee was over. Maya stood with Christina, both barely able to believe they had made it. 2 humans in the final 10. The crowd was going absolutely wild, a sound so loud it shook the arena. The other 8 champions included Vexthor, 2 Silex fighters, a Zentari warrior, 2 Crothians who had avoided the major fighting, and 1 representative from a species called the Valon that looked like living stone. The crystal being that had opened the trials materialized at the center of the arena. "The grand melee is complete," it announced. "These 10 warriors have proven themselves champions. They bring honor to their species and to the assembly itself. Let their names be recorded in the annals of the trials." Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor to treat the champions. Maya's legs nearly gave out as the adrenaline faded. A Nerean medic helped her to a medical station and began treating her injuries. Bruises covered her arms and legs. Her knuckles were swollen. She had pulled something in her shoulder during the fight with the Zentari warrior. But she had made it. She was a champion. Commander Rodriguez appeared at the medical station with tears in her eyes. "Do you understand what you just did? 2 humans in the final 10 on our first trial cycle. Species that have competed for centuries have never achieved that. You and Christina just changed everything for Earth." Over the next few hours, as Maya recovered in the medical center, the reality of her achievement sank in. Messages poured in from Earth. Her father had sent a video of himself watching the Grand Melee at a public viewing event, crying when Maya made the final 10. Master Williams sent a simple text that said, "I always knew." The President of the United States issued a statement congratulating her. Social media exploded with celebration. The quiet girl from Lincoln High School had become a symbol of human potential. But Maya's journey was not over yet. That evening, as she rested in her quarters, Corin visited with unexpected news. "The Assembly Council has made a decision," he said. "Earth will be granted provisional membership effective immediately. The humans' performance in the trials exceeded all expectations. There is no need to wait for the next cycle." "That is amazing," Maya said. "So we succeeded?" "You succeeded beyond measure," Corin confirmed. "But there is one more thing. Vexthor has made a request to the Council, and they have approved it. He wants to face you in a special exhibition match. Not for competition or scoring, but for honor. A chance for the defending champion to fight you properly. One-on-one with both of you at full strength." Maya sat up straighter, ignoring the protest from her sore muscles. "When? 3 days from now? After you have had time to heal and recover. He believes you were injured during your first match with him, and he wants to test you when you are at your best. It is a great honor. Vexthor has only offered such matches twice before in his career." Maya thought about it. Every part of her body was telling her to rest, to be satisfied with what she had accomplished. But another part of her, the part that Master Williams had cultivated through years of training, wanted this challenge. Vexthor was the best fighter she had ever faced. The chance to compete against him at her full potential was too valuable to pass up. "Tell him I accept," Maya said. The next 3 days were focused entirely on recovery and preparation. Maya underwent advanced medical treatments that accelerated her healing. She trained lightly, keeping her skills sharp without overexerting herself. She studied footage of all of Vexthor's matches, looking for patterns and weaknesses. Sophie, Danny, and Christina helped her prepare, offering insights and acting as training partners. Even some of the alien champions visited to offer advice. The Zentari warrior she had defeated in the melee came to see her. "Vexthor is the greatest fighter of this generation," she said. "But he has a weakness. He is too honorable. He will not use tricks or deceptions. If you can anticipate his honest attacks and counter with your own honest defense, you have a chance." The Silex champions visited as well. "Speed is the key," one said. "Vexthor is powerful and skilled, but he is not the fastest fighter. If you can match our speed with your precision, you might find openings we never could." Even a Crothian delegation came, led by the warrior Maya had fought on the first day. "We have watched you throughout the trials," he said. "You defeated me by using my strength against me. Perhaps the same principle applies to skill. Use Vexthor's excellence against him." On the evening before the exhibition match, Maya sat alone in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, from a quiet girl avoiding bullies in a school courtyard to a champion representing her entire species among the stars. It seemed impossible, like a dream, but it was real. All of it was real. "Nervous about tomorrow?" a deep voice said behind her. Maya turned and found Vexthor standing there. Up close, without the context of combat, he was even more impressive. His scales caught the starlight and his golden eyes held intelligence and depth. "Yes," Maya admitted. "There was no point in lying." "Good," Vexthor said, moving to stand beside her at the window. "Fear sharpens the senses. I am nervous too, if I am honest. You are unlike any opponent I have faced. You adapt so quickly. Every time I think I understand your pattern, you change it." "That is what karate taught me," Maya said. "Be like water. Flow around obstacles. The Draken philosophy is different," Vexthor explained. "Be like stone. Immovable and enduring. But perhaps your philosophy has merit as well. Tomorrow will be interesting. A contest between water and stone. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Two warriors from different worlds united by their dedication to their craft. Finally, Vexthor spoke again. Regardless of who wins tomorrow, know that you have my respect. You and your species have proven yourselves. The galaxy is better for having humans in it. The day of the exhibition match arrived. The arena was even more packed than it had been for the Grand Melee. This was history in the making. The defending champion facing the human upstart in a match that would be discussed for years to come. Maya walked to the combat platform wearing traditional karate-gi that Master Williams had sent from Earth. Vexthor wore Draken's ceremonial armor, deep red with gold accents. They bowed to each other, a gesture of mutual respect. The crystal being announced the match. This exhibition is not for points or ranking. It is a test of skill between two champions. The match will continue until one fighter yields or is unable to continue. Let honor guide your actions. The match began. Vexthor opened with a testing combination, the same way he had in their first fight. But Maya was fully healed now, her body responding the way it should. She slipped the strikes and countered with a quick kick to his lead leg, not enough to hurt through his scales, but enough to let him know she was serious. Vexthor smiled, the Draken expression fierce and approving. This would be a real fight. For 5 minutes they battled at a pace that left the crowd breathless. Vexthor's power was incredible, each strike carrying enough force to end the match if it landed clean. But Maya's speed and precision kept her safe. She moved like Master Williams had taught her, like water finding the path of least resistance. When Vexthor attacked high, she went low. When he pressed forward with power, she redirected to the side. She was not trying to overpower him. She was trying to outlast him and outthink him. Vexthor adapted too. He began mixing in feints and timing changes, trying to disrupt Maya's rhythm. He used his longer reach to control distance. He targeted her legs, trying to slow her movement. The match became a chess game played at superhuman speed, each fighter testing and probing and adapting. The crowd was silent now, everyone transfixed by the display of martial excellence. 10 minutes in, both fighters showed signs of fatigue. Vexthor's scales were scraped and dented in places where Maya's strikes had found weaknesses. Maya's arms were bruised from blocking his attacks and she was breathing hard, but neither was close to finished. This match could go on for an hour if both maintained this pace. Then Maya saw it. A tiny hesitation in Vexthor's footwork when he transitioned from defense to offense. It was so small that most fighters would miss it. But Maya had been training her entire life to read such tells. She waited for the right moment, then exploited it. When Vexthor shifted his weight to launch an attack, Maya stepped in first, disrupting his timing. She trapped his lead arm, stepped deep, and executed Ippon Seoi Naga, the shoulder throw that had won her first championship as a child. Vexthor was larger and heavier than any opponent she had thrown before. The technique should not have worked. But Maya had perfect positioning, perfect leverage, and perfect timing. His weight became his weakness as she used it against him. He flew over her shoulder and crashed onto the platform, the impact echoing through the arena. For a moment, there was absolute silence. Then Vexthor started laughing. He lay on his back looking up at Maya and laughed with genuine joy. "Magnificent," he said, his translator. The journey back to Earth felt different than the journey out. 3 weeks ago, Maya had been nervous and uncertain, wondering if humans belonged among the stars. Now she knew the answer. The Endeavor carried not just the human delegation, but also representatives from several alien species who wanted to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. Korin was among them, as was Wavesinger. Even Vexthor had decided to visit Earth, curious to see the homeworld that had produced such remarkable warriors. Maya spent much of the return trip in quiet reflection. She practiced her kata in the ship's gym, the familiar movements grounding her after the chaos of the trials. Sophie often joined her, and they would train together in comfortable silence. Danny and Christina were already planning their futures. Danny wanted to join the new Earth Defense Force that would be created to work alongside the Assembly. Christina was considering a position as a combat instructor at the training facility in Nevada. "What about you?" Sophie asked Maya one evening. "What are you going to do when we get home?" Maya had been thinking about that question a lot. "I want to teach," she said finally. "Master Williams showed me that martial arts is about more than fighting." It is about discipline, respect, understanding yourself and others. I want to share that, especially with kids who feel alone or scared or powerless. I want them to know they can be strong. You are going to be amazing at that, Sophie said with certainty. The Endeavour arrived at Earth to a massive celebration. The entire planet had been following the trials, watching every match broadcast from the assembly station. Maya and Christina were heroes, but so were all the human competitors who had represented Earth so well. Landing at the Space Center in Nevada, Maya saw thousands of people waiting to greet them. Cameras flashed constantly. Reporters shouted questions. It was overwhelming and exciting and terrifying all at once. Commander Rodriguez guided the team through the initial chaos, bringing them to a secure area where they could decompress. You are going to be famous now, she warned them. Earth wants to celebrate you, to thank you, to make you into symbols. Just remember who you are. Remember why you did this. The rest will take care of itself. Over the next few weeks, Maya experienced a whirlwind of activity. She attended official ceremonies where world leaders thanked her for her service. She did interviews with news organizations from every country. She visited the United Nations building in New York to witness the official signing of Earth's provisional membership agreement with the Galactic Assembly. Everywhere she went, people recognized her and wanted to meet her. But the moment that meant the most came when Maya returned to her hometown for the first time. She visited Lincoln High School, the place where everything had started with a simple confrontation in a courtyard. The school had organized a special assembly in her honor. Maya walked into the gymnasium to thunderous applause. Students, teachers, and community members packed the space. Principal Andrews gave a speech about perseverance and believing in yourself. Then Maya was invited to speak. She walked to the podium and looked out at the crowd. She saw her father in the front row, crying proud tears. She saw Master William sitting beside him, calm and smiling. She saw Sophie, Danny, and Christina, who had come to support her. She saw her old classmates, including Brandon, Kevin, and Stephanie, sitting together near the back. They looked different now, more humble. Their role in making her famous had been replayed on every news outlet, and not always kindly. Maya had specifically asked that they be invited today. 6 months ago, I was sitting in the courtyard of the school trying to be invisible. Maya began. Her voice was steady despite her nerves. I did not want attention. I just wanted to study, train, and get through each day quietly. Then something happened that changed everything. Some of you were there. You recorded it. You shared it. And because of that moment, I ended up representing humanity among the stars. She paused, looking directly at Brandon. I do not tell that story to embarrass anyone. I tell it because it illustrates something important. You never know when a single moment will change your life. You never know when the person you are dismissing or ignoring might turn out to be remarkable. Everyone in this room has potential. Everyone has something they are excellent at, something they are passionate about. The question is whether you will pursue it with dedication and discipline. Maya talked about her training, about the trials, about what she learned from fighting warriors from across the galaxy. But mostly she talked about the principles Master Williams had taught her. That strength without discipline is just violence. That true power comes from understanding yourself and respecting others. That martial arts is not about hurting people but about protecting yourself and those who cannot protect themselves. When I faced Vex Thor in that final match, I was not thinking about winning or losing, Maya explained. I was thinking about everything I had learned, everyone who had believed in me and what I wanted to prove about humanity. That we are adaptable, that we are determined, that we combine physical skill with mental discipline, that we belong among the stars not because we are perfect, but because we never stop trying to improve. She finished her speech by announcing something she had been planning for weeks. I am opening a dojo here in town. It will be free for any student who wants to learn. Not just karate, but discipline and confidence and self-respect. Because the biggest bullies we face are not other people. They are our own doubts and fears. I want to help people overcome those the way Master Williams helped me. The applause was deafening. After the assembly ended, hundreds of students lined up to talk to Maya, to ask questions, to thank her. Brandon was one of the last to approach. He looked uncomfortable but determined. I am sorry, he said simply, for what I did in the courtyard. For being a bully. Watching your journey, seeing what you achieved, it made me realize how small and stupid I was being. We all make mistakes, Maya replied. What matters is whether we learn from them. If you want to change, to be better, my dojo doors will be open to you too. Over the following months, Maya kept that promise. She worked with Master Williams to establish the new dojo in a renovated building downtown. They called it the Rising Phoenix School of Martial Arts. The name represented transformation and growth, rising from difficulty to become something better. Maya taught classes 4 evenings a week, working with students from elementary school through adults. Some came for self-defense. Others came for fitness. Many came because they felt lost or powerless and needed something to believe in. The dojo attracted attention from across the country. Other martial arts schools asked Maya to visit and share her philosophy. The Earth Defense Force recruited her to help develop their hand-to-hand combat training program. The assembly sent representatives to study human martial arts, fascinated by how such an ancient practice had produced such effective warriors. Maya did her best to honor all these requests while staying focused on what mattered most, teaching the next generation. Sophie opened her own school in California, focusing on Brazilian jiu-jitsu and grappling. Danny joined the Defense Force as Rodriguez had predicted, and rose quickly through the ranks. Christina became a trainer at the Nevada facility, preparing the next wave of humans who would compete in the trials. The 4 friends stayed in close contact, video chatting regularly and visiting each other when possible. They had formed a bond that distance and time could not break. A year after the trials, Maya received a visit from Vexthor. The Draken warrior had been touring Earth, learning about human culture and martial arts traditions. He spent a week at Maya's dojo, teaching Draken fighting techniques to her advanced students and learning more about karate philosophy. On his last evening, he and Maya sat on the dojo's roof, looking at the night sky. "Earth is remarkable," Vexthor said. "Your species has so much potential. In 50 years, I believe humans will be among the most influential species in the assembly." "That is a lot of pressure," Maya replied. "You handle pressure well," Vexthor observed. "It is one of your strengths. Do you ever regret it?" That moment in the courtyard that started all this? Maya thought about the question carefully. "No," she said finally. "I regret that I was bullied, that anyone is bullied. But I do not regret what came after. Every part of the journey taught me something. Every challenge made me stronger, and now I get to help others find their own strength. That feels like exactly what I'm supposed to be doing." 2 years after the trials, Earth sent a second delegation to compete. This time there were 50 representatives instead of 25, all trained at facilities based on the programs Maya and her teammates had helped develop. Maya attended as an observer and coach, watching the next generation of human warriors compete. They performed even better than the first delegation, with 5 humans making the final 10 in the ground melee. Humanity was establishing itself as a species to be respected. Maya continued teaching at her dojo, watching her students grow and develop. Some went on to compete in tournaments. Others simply gained confidence and self-discipline that helped them in school and life. A few eventually joined the Defense Force or the Diplomatic Corps. But Maya was equally proud of the ones who just became better versions of themselves, who learned to stand.